Welcome to the Sport Climbing Progression Series. If you're looking to become a better climber on the ropes, you've come to the right place. These videos are designed to help you progress from top roping your first climb all the way to leading your hardest project. The series will be split into several parts, with each part focused on all the necessary requirements to climb a specific grade range. If you're brand new to climbing, this is a great place to start. While the high walls of a climbing gym may seem intimidating, they are one of the best training grounds to help ease you into the sport. We'll go over all the important components to get you started. This video will focus on the safety elements of tying a knot, proper belay method, and the basic techniques of climbing efficiently. Before we start, a quick thank you to Insta360 for sponsoring this video with their GO2 action camera. This is one of the most unique and versatile action cameras I've ever used, and I took it with me to capture some of the footage in this video. This thing is wonderfully low profile. It's about the size of your pinky and can be easily attached to a headband or your shirt to capture great POV shots. You can even set it as a mini tripod for wide shots, or even mount it to a selfie stick. If you're looking for a great action camera for climbing or any other activity, go check out the GO2 by Insta360. A proper knot is the first component to climbing safely. This is the point that connects you to the anchors at the top of the wall and to your belayer. The knot we will tie is called a double figure 8. It is basically a single figure 8 knot that gets retraced. To start, measure a length of rope running from one arm to the opposite shoulder. Pinch the rope so that both ends are facing down, like an upside down letter U. Take the short end of the rope, wrap it once around the other end, and thread it up through the loop. You now have your single figure 8. If your knot looks more like a pretzel than a figure 8, it's because you did not complete the wraparound with the short end. Undo your knot, restart the process, and make sure to loop the short end completely around the long end before threading back up. With your single figure 8, you can now attach the rope to your harness. Thread the end down to up through both loops in your harness, making sure to avoid going through the red loop reserved for belaying. Once the rope is threaded, pull it tight so that the figure 8 is close to within a fist's length from your harness. From here, we'll begin the retracing process. Take the end of the rope and simply follow the line of the figure 8, retracing it completely until your end comes out the top loop. This may take some practice, and it's best to have an experienced friend or gym staff look on. Now it's time to check that your knot looks correct. It should resemble two figure 8s, one besides the other, forming a pair of lines the whole way to the end of the rope. This end, called the tail, should be at least 6 inches long. At the other end of the rope is the belayer. This is the person responsible for the safety of the climber, using their body to act as a counterweight to the climber in the event that they come off the wall. If you're new to sport climbing, it's likely that you're with a friend who's experienced with belaying. Make sure they look on while you practice to make sure that your technique is sound. There are two belay devices that are most common, the ATC and the Gree. Depending on which gym you're at, you may be asked to be familiar with using either one. For belaying climbers on top rope, these devices act in a very similar fashion, and both employ the same belaying method. Affixing the rope into your belay device is very important. The orientation to commit to memory is climber side up, brake side down. With an ATC, pinch a small loop of the rope and feed it through just one of the holes of your device. The end attached to the top of the wall is the climber side, and the end going to the tail of the rope is the brake side. With the loop of the rope running parallel to the loop of the ATC, position the ATC so that the climber side is up and the brake side is down. Now attach the ATC to the carabiner on your harness's belay loop, making sure that the carabiner runs through both the loop of the rope and the belay device. Double check to make sure that the climber side is still up and the brake side is still down. Last thing to do is lock your carabiner by tightening the screw. The process is slightly easier with a gree-gree, which comes with pictures indicating which end of the rope goes on which side of the device. Follow the pictures to set up your rope, then affix the gree-gree onto the carabiner on your harness's belay loop. Double check that climber side is up and brake side is down, and finish by locking the gate of the carabiner. Belaying for top rope is fairly straightforward, but before we get into the method, I want to make sure you understand the most important rule of belaying. Never let go of the brake hand. This is the lifeline connecting you to your climber, and as their belayer, you are responsible for their safety. The belay method I'm teaching you today is called PBUS, and it stands for pull, brake, under, slide. As your climber moves up the wall, they will create slack in the rope, and your job is to take in that slack whenever it forms. Pull means you pull in the slack, using your left hand to pull down and your right hand to pull out. Brake is done after the pull, and means you position your right arm downward in the brake position. Under means you move your left hand and place it under your right hand. Slide means to slide your right hand back up to the original position. You've now taken in the slack without taking your right hand, the brake hand, off the rope. Reset by placing your left hand back on the climber side and prepare to take in the next amount of slack. Once your climber reaches the top of the wall, or if they want to come down, they'll give you a verbal cue. The term most used is take, which means take an extra slack so that the rope is completely taut. Then they'll ask to be lowered. To lower with an ATC, position your left hand down with your right hand and slowly loosen your grip on the rope. As your climber lowers, the rope will run through your hands. Adjust your grip accordingly to speed up or slow down the descent. To lower with a gree-gree, use your left hand to pull the lever on the device. Right hand stays on the brake side and slightly loosens the grip on the rope to lower the climber. To control the speed of the descent, adjust the pull on the lever accordingly. Now that we've covered the essential safety components, let's move on to the climbing. Your main focus at first will be on the legs and feet. While this may seem counterintuitive, the legs are what actually does the bulk of the work in climbing. Generally speaking, our hands select our path, the arms guide us, and the legs move us. Start with a leg-centric approach. There are two ways you can do this. The first is to initiate every movement from the feet. Push off your toes to propel your upward pulling. Once the hands advanced, reset the feet higher and push off the toes again. Get into this rhythm of feet first, and you'll find yourself in a steady, efficient flow. The second way to train a leg-centric approach is to focus on keeping your arms straight. This is a very common drill to train body positioning and energy management. Whenever you're in a passive state before advancing a move, try to keep the arms straight and hang off your hands. This prevents you from contracting your biceps and overusing your arms, and also keeps you honest on how well you're weighting your feet. Your next focus for beginner technique is something I like to call two-dimensional climbing. Pretend like you're playing a top-down video game and the only directions you can move are up, down, and sideways. The hips stay square to the wall and there's never any twisting of the body. Although this may sound like a restriction, the limiting of movement to just two planes will allow you to understand how to climb conservatively and economically. Moving left or right involves a lateral shuffling of the hands and feet, and the absence of rotation prevents you from getting twisted or off sequence. The final focus of this video will be on basic hand movements. The first hand technique is called matching, which means bringing your second hand onto the same hold as your first hand. Matching is commonly done on big holds called jugs, and is a good way to shorten the distance that a hand has to travel to the next hold by giving it an intermediate hold to stop on. If you encounter a big downward pulling jug on your climb, it's typically a good spot to match your hands. The second hand technique is called a bump. Bumping your hand simply means moving one hand multiple times in succession. This all depends on how the climb is set up. For easier climbs, you can usually split a line down the middle of the route, with the holds on the left being for the left hand and the holds on the right for the right hand. But sometimes you encounter multiple holds in a row on one side. This is an indication that you may need to bump that hand, or even match the hand hold first. Learning a new sport is always challenging. There's so many variables at play, and it's difficult to know which ones to focus on. For something as unique as sport climbing, I wanted to first emphasize more on the safety elements, and not overwhelm you with too much in the way of climbing technique. The fancy movements will come soon in the next videos, but first, learn to be a safe climber. Again, a big thank you to Insta360 for sponsoring this video. If you like the footage in this video, go check out their GO2 action camera from the link in the description. Until next time everyone, move better, climb harder.